Okay, so today we're going to talk about all of the changes coming in the patch, including one crazy change that's coming. And also I'm going to give a kind of, more refined view on Waylay now that I've actually had a chance to play with Waylay. So let's dive in first to talking about the new agent. So what are my thoughts on Waylay? Well, there's one thing in particular that annoys me about Waylay, and that is this, the dash. The equip time after dashing really annoys me with this agent, because just assume, right, that I'm coming in here and doing a kind of exec, and the gun just takes so long to pull out, right? Like, it takes so long to actually pull out before I can shoot, and I understand why they've done this, okay? And that is, obviously, you could just TP out, right? Like, if you're in trouble, TP out, right? However, I do think that this is a problem, and let me explain, right? Because if we take a look at the other duelists, who are similar to Waylay, like Jett, one thing you might say is, well, they've done that because the pullout time is the same as Jett's, right? So the equip time of your gun after you dash, it's the same as Jett, so it makes sense. But of course, we all know that anytime you enter with Jett, you do that first, right? You smoke yourself off. You give yourself a chance to pull out the gun because you're inside of a smoke, right? So it's not as big of a problem because you have a smoke to play with. If Jett didn't have smokes, this would be awful. Right? No one would play Jett ever if Jett didn't have smokes. So this is a problem because, again, like if you take a look at some of the other agents, like Neon, of course, like with Neon, you can shoot while sliding. The equip time is instant, right? So Neon doesn't have this problem. The gun is out straight away. With Raze, because of the way that the satchels kind of work, it means that by the time you hit the floor with the satchels, your gun is out, right? Your gun is out when you hit the floor with the satchels. Because of the way, like, the ability cast works, it's not a problem. So Raze doesn't have this problem, Neon doesn't have this problem, Jett doesn't have this problem because of the dashes. I mean, even agents like Reyna, right? They changed the equip time of the Leer to be instant, right? After you even do a Leer. So this is just one of those things. And again, I know that they will say, well, you can TP out if you're in trouble, right? If you see someone that is about to kill you, you can just press E and get out. And whilst that's fine, and it does make sense, I do still think that's annoying because there's going to be times where you're like, I can kill this person. If they're on my screen, I can kill them. And you're not going to be able to because your equip time is painfully slow. It feels painfully slow. So yeah, that is one thing that annoyed me with Waylay. But just in general, what do I think of Waylay? I think that Waylay, having given some time now to the agent, is okay, right? I think it's like a B tier agent. But the problem is, I just think there's a lot of good agents right now. There are so many good agents, and we'll get into this later in the video as well, that I just think that there are better options. Right, Raze is a better option, Yoru is definitely a better option. On certain maps, Neon and Jett are going to be better options as well. So I was just struggling to find where you would necessarily play Waylay. Maybe as like a second duelist on Fracture if you want to play double dive. I could maybe see that. But I still think there's probably going to be better options of, maybe Raze Yoru would be better on that map, for instance, to play as double duelist anyway. Okay, now let's talk about some of the changes that are coming in the new patch though. And the first one, let's talk about map changes, which is Ascent. That you now cannot spam through B main with anything, right? You can see here the walls are reinforced. You will not be able to spam this part of B main, which I think is a good change. One thing it will do is it will make this orb, I think, a bit easier for attackers, right? You now can't be spammed here. This orb is a bit safer, and so kind of both orbs are, kind of attack-sided now, pretty easy to get. So you could see a lot of ult orb farming on this map, I think, right now. With some of these changes, so that is one thing to consider. I kind of wish they would have changed Ascent a bit more to maybe make it a bit more attack-sided, but, it's fine. It is what it is, and I do think that this overall is a good change. Now let's talk about Clove, though. So the first thing we need to talk about Clove is that you can now, the metal doesn't get destroyed in the sky. You can do metal lineups, right? You can throw these across the map, and they will go and land wherever you throw them, right? Which is cool. That's a good change. I think that was a bit frustrating that the metal didn't work like that before. I'm glad that they've changed it. It's a nice little quality of life improvement that will help Clove. However, one thing that they have done as well is they've changed the smoke timer from 30 to 40 seconds, which is quite a significant nerf. I mean, especially again for like high level play, I mean, that's a big nerf. So you're just going to have smokes a lot less of the time. Which, yes, is really going to hurt you. They have also changed the pick-me-up as well, like in some of the timing things. It's not a massive deal, I don't think, in general, but it is what it is. I think in rank, Clove will still be good, but in pro play, I mean, Clove won't be good. As you know, I already thought that. Okay, moving on to Isow, who I think got significantly better, actually. One thing that they changed was the wall here, so that you can now kind of right-click the wall and send out a little slow-moving wall. Which, for instance, if you were coming and retaking here on B, right, you would you would send out this slow wall, and it just gives you more time to kind of, you know, slowly kind of clear these angles, right, from, and stops anyone from peeking from like over there, right, which is good. I like that change. I think it's a good change. Second change they made is that the undercut now, you only get one. You can see at the bottom, I've only got one of them instead of two. It now costs 300 instead of 200, but also now it does suppress people, which is quite a big change as well. So it suppresses them for 4 seconds, and I really like that change. And I'll give you a good example why this might be a pretty good improvement, particularly in pro play right now. So let's take a look at this round from T1 versus G2, and you can see that T1 are playing with an Isow. And one of the things that they like to do here, T1, is they like to go for an undercut straight at the start of the round, right? Because you can't avoid this. There is no way to avoid that. Right, it travels quick enough to where you will get hit by it, essentially. So, you know, that's pretty good, because it means now you're vulnerable as you're walking out here, right? Raised nade, shock dart, whatever it is, could potentially much easier kill you. However, in this game versus G2, you can see that Jogmo's playing Yoru, right? So Jogmo just disrespects this, right? He just disrespects it because the nade doesn't hit him here. And now look, he's able to take complete A main control just on his own, right? So he's out here on his own. He's taken all of A main for them, just on his own, right? And I think that this obviously wouldn't be able to happen, because what, of course, he's relying on is the fact that he can TP out if he is in danger, right? Because he's playing Yoru, right? So if you're playing Chamber or Yoru, you know, you can just TP out and you can disrespect things like this. But with a suppression, if this happens to you, oh, now your Raze can't satchel. Now your Omen can't TP. Now an agent like Yoru or Chamber, they can't risk this, right? Because it's very risky now to do this if you were suppressed, because you can't TP out, right? So there are instances like this on, you know, for instance, Lotus A here, where this suppression change actually could be a pretty big deal at high level play, because it's almost like guaranteed control for the defenders out towards A. Another change that they made is that in the ult now, you automatically get the shield, right? So you automatically have a shield in the ult, which is, again, a pretty significant buff. Right, because that means in rounds where you have your ult now, you can essentially use the shield very aggressively, you know, and take a fight or whatever with an advantage. And no, I've still got the ult in case my shield runs out. I can still just ult them and get a shield again. So Isow, I think, got significantly better, and Isow was already an agent that, you know, was pretty decent, I would say, you know, in pro play. We also got a small change to Teo, where he won't deal as much damage to utilities. So that's Killjoy Rejoice. He now won't automatically break the lockdown, and they also do slightly less damage. They do 65 damage now instead. I still think Teo is going to be extremely good. It just means that Killjoy now just doesn't get hard countered by one agent. But of course, the agent that I have to talk about the most is Deadlock, because this is a massive change. They have now changed the Gravnet to be the signature ability. The Barrier Mesh is now a non-signature ability and costs 400, as you can see just here. You know, it's the same as it was, but it just costs 400. The fact that the Gravnet is a signature ability, it is a bit smaller than it used to be. So you can see that they have decreased the size a little bit, but it's still very big, right? So it still is covering a very large area, right? You know, that will catch a lot of people a lot of the time. And it has a 40-second cooldown, right? So if you use a Gravnet, you get one back in 40 seconds. This is a monumental change. Okay, this is a gigantic change, because the Gravnet is one of the best abilities in the game. And the fact now, like, let's say we were attacking on Ascent, right? And we're playing, you know, Deadlock with, I don't know, Teo, right? Who's a very good agent as well. Well, that has a 40-second cooldown as well, to where I can, you know, throw a Gravnet here A main with Teo missiles, where you can't be aggro in A main, because you're just in a lot of trouble. 40 seconds later, maybe we walk in towards mid, right? We come out here. Oh, we see like a jet opping over here. Oh, Gravnet missiles, dead. Right, like a jet can't dash out of a Gravnet. You know, you're just dead. That's not good. And then, oh, like now we're coming for our exec late in the round. Oh, little throw towards the backside. You know, you're hiding back here. Oh, Teo missiles, Gravnet. Oh, dead. Oh, post plant's coming up. You know. Oh, I've got a barrier mesh now. Oh, time's ticking down. Oh, extra Gravnet. Like, that is insane to think about, that is like a round that you could have in Valorant. And like, especially considering that Raze and Teo are both so good right now. The fact that you've got Deadlock Gravnets for days as well, this is unbelievable. I cannot believe they've done this to Deadlock, but not Sage. Right? I can't believe that Sage is sitting there still with a heal as a signature rather than the slow orbs. And you've done this for Deadlock. It is insane. This takes Deadlock from being like, you know, maybe like a B tier agent that can find some decent use in combo comps to like, in the current meta, this is like an S tier agent now. This is like an S tier agent because Teo and Raze are both so good and they combo so well with the Gravnet that, like, in a vacuum, this maybe would make Deadlock like a high A tier agent. But in the current meta, with those agents being so good, this makes her an S tier agent. So this is a monumental change. I cannot understate how crazy this is, that this is the change they've gone with. And it kind of makes the entire meta right now so interesting. Because for the first time in a very long time, it feels like there are a lot of good agents, right? Raze, Yoru, Teo, Sova. I mean, Breach is seeing a lot of, you know, decent play right now. Vice, Deadlock, Cypher, Omen, Astra, Viper. Like, there are so many agents that, like, are really quite good to where you, like, really might consider playing so many of them. There's almost too many to fit into your team comp right now, which in one sense is, like, really interesting and cool, but it does leave me a little bit scared.